Welcome to the 2016 WAVE training video provided by the Oklahoma State Department of Education. I am Susan Pinson and I'm serving as your host for this training. I also want to share the names of my colleagues who work closely with districts on WAVE-related topics. Jennifer Foster is the Student Information Data Coordinator for SDE, and Leah Moat is the IT Strategist for Education and works for the Office of Management and Enterprise Services, or OMES. Before we begin, here are a couple of items to note. In order to make continued improvements in data research and reporting, SDE will facilitate focus groups in November and would like your ideas for topics of discussion as well as issues you are experiencing with the WAVE or data reporting. Individuals with a single sign-on account have been added to the listserv to receive the weekly administrator newsletter. This comes out every Tuesday and includes a data section containing information about deadlines, collections, changes, and other important data-related information. At the very least, please review the data section. The newsletter is linked at the top and will guide you directly to that section. The topics of discussion in this video include the October 1 Consolidated Report, Ed Plan Communication with the WAVE, reviewing the basics with the WAVE, which includes communication between your student information system and the WAVE and the helpful wizards, how support calls are handled, and upcoming changes to reports. The document that was previously referred to as Accountability at a Glance has been changed to two documents, which can be found under the Links and Docs section of the login page of Single Sign-On. These documents are now called Reporting Requirements in both document and calendar formats, and provide districts with information about reporting deadlines. We try to keep these documents up to date, and any changes will be sent out through the Tuesday Administrator newsletter. Both documents provide information about the program office responsible for the collection, as well as contact information. The Reporting Requirements document is the lengthier version and is similar to what you are used to in the Accountability at a Glance. This document has a hyperlinked calendar of due dates that will take you to a full description of the collection by holding down the Shift key as you left-click the mouse. This provides information on the federal and state requirements, the description of the collection, where to complete the collection, as well as any related documents. The Reporting Requirements calendar is the true at-a-glance version that lists the collections by due date. The program office responsible for the collection will be bolded. We ask that you contact the program office responsible for the collection prior to submitting a help desk ticket. The program office is able to answer questions related to business rules about how to complete the report. The October 1 Consolidated Report is open and available for sites to review for necessary changes. The report will remain open until October 17th. Because October 1 fell on a Saturday this year, the report will be based on an entry date on or before October 3rd with no exit date. The deadline for certification is October 17th. Changes prior to the certification deadline can be made in your student information system that will then be sent to the WAVE and loaded into the October 1 report. The October 1 Consolidated Report is a student-level report for every student enrolled at your site by October 3rd with no exit date. There are 32 data elements collected for every student, making it for a very lengthy report. This information should be reviewed for every student and necessary changes be made in your student information system prior to the principal confirming the site report and the superintendent certifying the district information. It is essential that the data in this report is accurate and that changes are made as needed because the October 1 report feeds into a variety of other reports and is the information used for various state and federal reports. We ask that you ensure the accuracy of your students' data to the best of your knowledge and that you do not certify the report just to meet the deadline. A few of the changes from last year to note in the report. We will no longer be taking the October 1 student-level data and pre-populating the accreditation and gifted and talented grade grids that were found in those specific applications. Previously, you were required to certify these numbers twice, once through your October 1 consolidated report and once in the application. We have changed that this year, and you certify this information through certification of the October 1 report. You will only have one opportunity to certify these numbers, so it is important that you review the data for accuracy. These reports can be found in the October 1 consolidated report, and we will review that process later in this video. We have added a column for 2 or more races, which will be calculated by the WAVE based on the information from your student information system. Additionally, we have added a calculated grade for pre-K 3, so you no longer have to search for those students by their birth date. Based on requests from districts, district-level reports are now available for all reports found in the reporting tools for those who have district-level access. You will no longer see the grade grid in the accreditation application, but a note will appear regarding the changes. Again, this was done so that districts did not have to certify data twice. The same is true for the gifted and talented grade grid. This will not show in the application. This data will also be certified through the October 1 consolidated report. To access the October 1 consolidated report, you will go to the single sign-on page, which can be found on the SDE webpage. If you do not have access to single sign-on, you can create an account from this page and request to be assigned to your district. However, the state only manages the superintendent's account. User roles and assignment for your district must be added by your superintendent or district logon administrator who assigns user roles for your district. Once logged in to single sign-on, scroll down to the WAVE portal. Once in the WAVE, go to the Reporting tab and find the State Reporting Certification. From there, open the October 1 consolidated report. Please note that no data is actually changed in this report. All changes must be made in your student information system, which is then sent back to the WAVE and loaded into the report. You will now access a page where you will select the site you are working on. You may see one or more sites depending on the role you are assigned in your district. From this page, your principal can confirm the report. The superintendent can release a site report if changes are needed after confirmation, and the superintendent can certify the district report. Changes must be made prior to the October 17 deadline. From this page, you can also see the status of your site. The status lets users know where the site is in the process. Not started indicates that no one has logged in to review the report. In process means that at least one person is logged in to view the report. Confirmed means that all the changes have been made for the site and the principal has confirmed the accuracy of the report. The principal is the only role that confirms the site report. Certified means the superintendent has certified the report after all sites are confirmed, meaning the superintendent is certifying the district information is accurate. If changes are needed after certifying the report, but prior to the deadline, you must contact the SDE. Once the site is selected, you will see the navigation bar where you can move to various pages in the report. You can return to the Site Selector page, go to the Final Report, the Find Missing Students report, as well as the Reporting Tools page where you will find various additional reports. The Final Report is the default page once a site is selected. Again, no changes can be made in this report. They must all be made in the Student Information System. With 32 elements being reported for each student at the site, this is a very lengthy report. You may have to scroll far to the right to view each element. You are able to rearrange the report by clicking on the column names and dragging and dropping the column. You are also able to sort the columns and filter the report. From the navigation bar, you can move to the Find Missing Students page. This takes you to a list of students the SDE thinks should be in your October 1 report, but there are errors with some of the required fields. If you confirm this report with students on your Find Missing Students page, these students will not be on your October 1 report. The Find Missing Students page highlights in yellow the field with the error. All elements must be corrected in order for the student to be on the final report. Here on this sample, students are missing STNs, a required element. The last two columns of the report shows if the student has errors in the STN wizard, the district ownership wizard, or if there is a data validation error. You also have the ability to export this list to an Excel or a CSV file. This sample page shows a large number of students having errors with economically disadvantaged, 3 with ELL issues, and 1 with gender. All errors must be corrected for the student to be on the final report. Students with basis of admission codes that exclude them from counting on the October 1 report will also be listed in the Find Missing Students. This allows you to confirm that the basis of admission code is accurate. For example, co-op students will be listed here for those who have a co-op agreement with another district. Verify that these students are actually co-op. If they are listed in error, you will need to change their basis of admission code. If they are co-op, they will remain on the Find Missing Students page. Again, they are just listed here as a reminder to verify their information. From the navigation bar, click on Reporting Tools. Reporting tools are an important element of this report. This takes you to a list where you can select your site, select various reports, and can review your report, which will open in a new window. We have added district-level reports this year, so if you have district-level access, you can check the district report box on all listed reports. A number of important reports are available. They include the Accreditation Grade Grid, the Gifted and Talented Grade Grid, LEP Grade Grid, Immigrant Count, and a new Student Demographic Report. The Accreditation and Gifted and Talented Grade Grids will look just like they did in those specific applications. Please use each of these reports to confirm numbers, as this is the only chance to certify this information. This picture shows the Accreditation Grade Grid found in the October 1 report. As you can see, it looks exactly like it did in the accreditation application. To reiterate, the accreditation application will no longer have the grade grid. It will have a note regarding the change. This report will now be certified through the October 1 report, meaning you only have one opportunity to review these numbers for accuracy. The same is true for the Gifted and Talented Grade Grid. Please print this report and share it with the Gifted and Talented coordinator so the numbers can be verified. If the numbers are inaccurate, you will need to review the student-level data available in the final report or the demographics report and make changes in your student information system. Again, this is the only opportunity to make changes. Each report from the reporting tools will open in a new window. If you are not seeing this, please check that your browser is allowing pop-ups. From this window, you can export your file to Word, Excel, CSV, or PDF, where you can print the report and review the data. PDF is the suggested format due to the way it prints. Sites have the ability to refresh the data in the report every 2 hours. This is a useful tool since the October 1 report is only updated nightly from the Wave. The report shows you the last time that we received data and the last time the data was refreshed. If you are clicking on the Refresh Data button and are seeing a red circle with a line through it, that means no new data is available or you have refreshed within the last 2 hours. It is highly suggested that refreshing only occur after a large number of changes are made in the student information system. Please designate one person at your site to refresh your data. SDE has no way of identifying who is refreshing the data. Please keep in mind that once the data is received by the Wave, it must go through the validation process. This process begins by verifying the data is sent in the acceptable format before going through the validation process. Once you hit the refresh button, a box will open asking you to confirm the processing of new data. Again, you can only do this once every 2 hours. Once you hit the process button, you will see a processing message that walks you through the steps of processing data, starting with moving the data from the Wave into the My Data tables. Once that is complete, it will process the data into the October 1 report. A message stating the process is complete will then appear. We highly suggest you make batch changes in your data since you are only able to refresh once every 2 hours. Once the site-level data is complete, the principal confirms the report. When the confirmation box is clicked, a box will open providing site-level aggregate counts. It is essential that the principal reviews these numbers for accuracy. These data affect funding, so accuracy is important. As the message mentions, these data are used for various state and federal reports. When the superintendent certifies, an email is generated and sent to the superintendent. Let's review some of the required elements for completing this report. STN, or State Testing Number, is the unique ID assigned by the state as a method to track students through their Oklahoma public education. If a student does not have an assigned STN, the student will not show up in the report. The STN assignment process will be reviewed later. First, middle, and last names must be provided and are necessary for STN assignment. This is the student's legal name, not preferred name. No abbreviations or nicknames should be provided here. If the student has no middle name, leave that field blank. Some of the common issues seen include the name field only contains a single character. The field contains invalid punctuation, such as a /, parenthesis, or a comma. The only acceptable punctuation includes hyphens, apostrophes, and periods. The field contains 2 names separated by more than 1 space. 3 of the same character in a row, like Matthew with 3 T's. The name contains a 0 rather than an O. The name appears to contain a prefix or a suffix. There are specific fields for this. Some systems have fields for legal name and preferred name. Please make sure legal name is provided. The birth date field is required and must be a valid date. This field often is filled with typos. For example, a date is entered making the student less than 1 year old. This often occurs by typing the date the information was entered. Or a date was entered making a student older than 26. If this is a legitimate enrollment, we need to verify this enrollment, and you would contact OMES to manually allow the record. Gender is a required field and must be a valid Oklahoma code. Though SIF has a gender option of unknown, this is not a valid code in Oklahoma. If unknown is sent, an error will be displayed and a change must be made to a valid male or female code in your student information system. A valid grade code must be sent for every student. These include pre-K, K, 1, etc. A common issue with grade is a site sending U or UG for ungraded for 3-year-olds. The correct selection is PK. An error will occur if a grade is sent for a student that is not within the allowable grade span for the site which is on file with accreditation. The basis of admission code answers the question of why the student is being educated in the district. This includes codes like resident, transfer, tuition, and co-op. The basis of admission code is an important field that is used to filter students in and out of a site based on the report that is being pulled. For example, a student is a resident in District A, but is a co-op student in District B. In most instances, the student is associated with District A since it is the resident district. The co-op district would not receive state aid weights, and the student would not show up on the October 1 report. Table 7.2 in the Waive Requirements document provides the definition of the basis of admission codes, while Table 7.2.1 identifies what codes count for which reports. A student can only be claimed as a resident by 1 district at a time. If 2 districts are sending resident, the student will show up in the district ownership wizard. The entry date is the date the student entered that school within the district. Only students that have an entry date of October 1 or prior, October 3rd for this year, and do not have an exit date will show up on the October 1 report. The entry dates are what drive the ownership wizard by helping to determine if a student is being claimed by more than one school on a given day. The October 1 report is not a snapshot. This is a dynamic report that is based on the entry date. So if a district realizes that a student is not on the report and corrects information in the student information system, then the student will be added to the report. Full and part-time status are fields that are only required for students in pre-K and K. This code indicates whether the student is in a full-day or half-day program. If a student switches from a full-day to a half-day program, or vice versa, then a new enrollment record would be created. Race and ethnicity are required fields for all students. There are multiple elements which require a yes or no indicator. A student can be more than one race, but has to be identified as at least one. This information is not something that has to be verified, since it is what the parents fill out on enrollment paperwork or what the student is claiming. If race and ethnicity are not provided, then someone at the site, the registrar or another individual, will have to identify the student. This is an element that may change from year to year. Now let's move to the fields that are required for federal reporting. The English Language Learner field is required for all students and is a yes or no designation. If yes is sent, the level of proficiency must be provided for that student. There is a first year and a second year proficient column in the October 1 report, which comes from a combination of English Proficiency Code and English Proficiency Other Code. If a student is identified as ELL, the home language is required and must be something other than English. The October 1 report only pulls home language. English Proficiency Code is what identifies a student's English proficiency. This is required for every student and is often based off the home language survey. A high-level overview of these codes. 1633, Native English Speaker. This student has never been designated as ELL. 1634, Fluent English Speaker. This student is bilingual and has never been designated as ELL. 1636 is redesignated as Fluent English Proficient. This code is used for a student who is previously designated as ELL but has since tested proficient. If this code is sent to the WAVE, we would expect to receive an English Proficiency Other code, which is what drives the first and second year proficient. 2349, Limited English Proficient English Language Learner. This code is used for a student who is designated as ELL because they have been identified for services. This student is designated as bilingual and ELL. 9997, this is an unknown code that is a temporary one used while determining the English proficiency of a student. The code is only valid for the first 30 days of school or the first 14 days of a new enrollment. If a code of 1636 designating a student as fluent English is sent, an English Proficiency Other code must be received as well. This code is for students who have been out of the ELL program for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 or more years. These codes 01 to 06 also designate if a student is bilingual or not. For a student that has an English proficiency code of something other than 1636, a code of NA would be sent, meaning this code does not apply. These codes may already be built into your student information system. Part of the federal ELL survey is a count of students by language, so language code was added to the October 1 report and is required for students who are designated as ELL. Bilingual is not a field that is sent to SDE from the district student information system. This is calculated based on the English Proficiency and English Proficiency Other codes. For students to count as bilingual, they will have to be coded with the following: an English Proficiency Code of 1634, Fluent English Speaker, or 2349, Limited English Proficient English Language Learner. If an English Proficiency Code of 1636 and an English Proficiency Other code of 1, 2, or 5 are used, the student will be coded as bilingual. If a site believes a student should be designated as bilingual, the English Proficiency Code or English Proficiency Other Code will need to be changed in the Student Information System. There are 2 fields for gifted and talented that must be sent for all students. Gifted and talented is a yes or no field indicating if a student is participating in the program or not. In addition, the gifted and talented identified is the field that states how the student qualifies for the program. This field would contain either multi for multi-criteria, 3 for testing in the top 3%, or DNMCR, does not meet criteria. Common issues include receiving a wrong sequence of these codes. For example, a student was marked as GT yes and does not meet criteria, or the student was marked as GT no with a multi-criteria or 3%. Economic disadvantaged is required for all students and is a yes or no field. This field is not about students receiving a free or reduced lunch, but rather if they qualify and have access to a meal. If a student qualifies, regardless if they receive the benefit or not, the student would be marked as yes. A student may qualify for free reduced lunch, but the parent guardian refuses the service. Still, the student would be marked as yes. A student may not have access to a meal, but his/her situation would qualify the student if access would be made available. This student would be marked as yes. If a student appears on the direct certification list, they will be marked as economic disadvantage equals yes. The free reduced field is closely related to economic disadvantage. This field can contain free, reduced, provision 1, 2, 3, 4, or community eligible, NA, or none. None is the indicator used for students who are paying for their meal on a daily basis. NA is used for those who do not have access to a meal. The student may not be there during lunch to receive the meal. Provisions 1, 2, 3, 4, and community eligible are referencing school sites that have been identified to participate in the program. This code would be indicated for each student, but may not be what the student is actually identified as. Your student information system may allow you to identify the site as provisions 1, 2, 3, or 4 at the site level, which will send this information for all students. Some of the common issues with this field would be a mismatch between economic disadvantage and free reduced. For example, a student was marked as economic disadvantage no, but something other than NA or none was sent for free reduced. The IEP and 504 fields are required yes/no fields. This information was previously sent by the Student Information System, but now that we have EdPlan, we receive a file that is loaded to the WAVE for students who currently have an IEP or 504 plan. Migrant is a required yes or no field sent for all students. If a student is part of the migrant program and has a certificate of eligibility on file with the migrant office, and he/she meets the migrant criteria, then the student can be marked as migrant. We do validate against the migrant database that houses the certificates of eligibility. So if there is not a certificate on file, an error message will be displayed on the WAVE and the student will be excluded from the report. A common issue with this includes the migrant office having a name on file that does not match what is in the district's student information system. You will need to contact the migrant office to make this determination. Immigrant is also a required field that is yes/no. Immigrant children are those aged 3 to 21, were not born in the U.S., and have not attended school in the U.S. for more than 3 full academic years. Children born to U.S. citizens abroad, such as on a military base, may be considered immigrant for Title III Part A purposes if they meet the other definitions of immigrant. We will now move to talk about communication between EdPlan and the WAVE. Once a student shows up in the WAVE and has an STN assigned, the data is sent in a file to EdPlan each morning. EdPlan then loads the file into its system, typically by the afternoon. If a student is a transfer student, the district will request a transfer of EdPlan records to its students on the EdPlan message board. EdPlan will then move the IEP or 504 records to the new district system, and the district will update the plan. EdPlan sends IEP and 504 indicators to the WAVE each morning, and the WAVE loads these indicators into the system. If the student is new to EdPlan, there may be a delay. Presented here is a list of the elements sent to EdPlan each morning. Most of these are from student personnel or student contact from the district student information system, so it is important that the information is accurate in the local system. Some of the issues we see with WAVE and EdPlan communication include: a student does not have an STN assigned. Please check the STN wizard or the validation wizard. The fields for name, DOB, gender, and race ethnicity must be received and valid for an STN to be assigned. Because the WAVE sends all students to EdPlan and not just students with IEPs or 504 plans, students may be listed in the inactive section of EdPlan. The list can be accessed by going to the Administrator tab in EdPlan and going to the Inactive list. This video has covered much information about the October 1 Consolidated Report, including changes and new collections. Please contact the OMES Service Desk if you have any technical issues with this report. The State Department of Education appreciates the hard work and attention to detail that districts do to submit clean, accurate data. Thank you.